If Sherlock Holmes had an anime great-granddaughter, you'd probably think of a character that looks like Amelia. Unfortunately for you, she looks like this. Next you're gonna tell me that the show has magic powers and werewolves and... Oh. This isn't what I ordered at all. Kinji is one of many students that attend Butte High, a school for Butte or armed detectives. One day, Kinji misses the bus and rushes to school on his bike where he's chased by a Segway with a machine gun. The Segway tells him he has a bomb strapped to his bike and if he tries anything, he dies. Kinji is eventually saved by Aria, who shoots the Segway and gets Kinji off his bike before it explodes. The two wake up in the classic anime scene where two characters fall next to each other, and it looks like you walked in on a boat in Anchorage, Alaska. The two fight off more Segways. Kinji goes brick mode. You might be wondering what this means for the rest of the story, and it will be important later.
I'm gonna fucking brick.
Eventually, Aria and Kinji agree to team up after this and tackle various cases. Kinji was a once optimistic teenager with a strong sense of justice. He looked up to his father and brother, who both became Butte, until they died, except his dad dying was way less impactful to Kinji than his brothers. Kinji's brother was killed after saving people from a boat jacking by the Butte killer. Then the passengers started to criticize Kinji's brother for ruining their vacations. Then the news picked up the story and turned the focus away from the Butte killer's boat jacking and onto Kinji's brother who died saving everyone, which later became Kinji because his brother is still dead. Kinji learned that the public would sooner harass him than blame the boat security, the company that makes them, or the terrorist who blew up the boat. After that, he became a cynic who wanted to quit being a Butte. In the story, the Toyama family inherited a genetic condition known as hysteria savant syndrome. That's the last time I'm calling it that, though. It's because in the manga it's revealed that HHS is an evolution of the survival instinct to protect women and leave children behind. HHS is a mode that enhances Kinji's natural abilities while turning him into the guy she tells you not to worry about. So it's an evolved impreg instinct that activates when you're sexually aroused by a woman and compels you to protect them. To leave children behind. And no, you cannot run into a phone booth with a magazine, crank one out, and act like this. Kinji in the manga says it's gotta be a real woman, or at least needs to look feminine enough.
Bro, is he bricked up? Bro, is he actually bricked up there? Is he, is he actually bricked up? Show me more clips of this guy. I want to see more funny clips of...
Shirayuki is the sweet, kind girl your mother would want you to bring home, but you know Shirayuki's a pervert, which for a shrine maiden isn't surprising. If you gave an Amish teenager a Crunchwrap Supreme, then he'd probably wonder why he eats gruel and corn every day. For some reason, people are very interested in obsessive, mentally ill female characters. While the science behind crazy women being better at sex is still inconclusive, a wise man said, "Don't stick your dick in crazy." Shirayuki's ancestor is Queen Himiko, which means she can manipulate fire, heal injuries, and make herself stronger using Shrine Maiden techniques. It's at this point where the supernatural abilities lose me. Kinji's brick mode is the first weird ability you'd see, so you'd expect more abilities in that same vein. Not giving everyone their own brick modes, because all these characters are minors and the feds are waiting for me to slip as we speak. It's also weird because in the show it doesn't seem like it'd be full of magic, but later several sharks are jumped and it's like you're living in a fantasy world that no one else is aware of. For a story like this, I'd like more grounded in reality abilities than straight magic, and yes, with this story, I consider the evolved impreg instinct ability a more grounded power. God. Oh, this is fucked. Jean, Jeans, French, don't care, is a strict yet diligent character. She hasn't had much development in either the anime or the manga, but she likes cute things. She mostly acts as Kinji's IU informant, IU being an evil organization whose goal is to rack up years worth of charges on a woman who looks like she'd struggle to beat a ham sandwich with the crust on. Not sure why being related to Jean of Arc, Jean, doesn't matter. Gives you cryokinesis. I never watched Fate, and at this point I'm too scared to ask questions. Reki is an emotionless character who, like Jean, has little developments in the anime. Reki acts like a robot, and to many people is hard to read. Unlike the others, she has multiple famous ancestors but no powers. Instead, she's a gifted sniper. Her greatest snipe is when she shot at a wolf between its spine and vertebrae to paralyze it with normal bullets. She then asserts her dominance over it and tames it. Once again, not magic. I could tell you who one of Reki's ancestors is, but I'd rather give you some hints. Reki's ancestor is someone millions of Asians can call their ancestor, well known for the phrase, "I saw, conquered, and came." Riko's probably my favorite character of the group after learning her full backstory. She's a Lupin, like the thief Lupin. She was known as the fourth Lupin, and the only person who called Riko by her name was her mother. But after her parents died, she was taken in by a family member who was Dracula. He then starved, tortured, studied, and discovered Riko had none of the abilities of the original thief Lupin. She was then kept to be the, quote, brood bitch / genetic receptacle for the fifth Lupin. Say, Dracula, how old is Riko?
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with them. Hold it down the whole time, I know they got some flow in him. Hold on him, extort shit, really that flow on him. Say Drake.
So, Riko escaped. Quickly after she was recaptured, her mom's rosary was taken, and Dracula said she'd be free when she surpassed the first Lupin. The bubbly, flirty personality Riko has is both a coping mechanism for her trauma and a cover for her cruel, maniacal genius. Which is where I once again have a problem with the weird powers in this show. This is the same character whose outfit is designed to function as a parachute, along with having a retractable umbrella canopy that also shoots the tip. Why does she have magic hair? Also, if she didn't inherit any of the abilities of the first Lupin, where does the magic hair come from? Magic space rocks. Why would it be anything else? Aria is one of my favorite character types handled very poorly. Aria is a tsundere, or mean girl who loves you and not virgin, but it's closer to overly prideful girl who loves you rather than strictly mean. Aria is also a special brand of tsundere that's short, flat like an aircraft carrier runway, and has enough attitude to make a honey badger consider therapy. She's similar to characters like Echo from Dragonar Academy, Taiga from Toradora, Dalian from the Mystic Archives of Dantalion, Claire from Blade Dance of Elementals, Victorine from Gosick, Sakuya from Isuka, Suzuka from Tokyo Raven, Korikarte from Shinyoku Sokai Polyphonica, Tatsumaki from One Punch Man, Shauna from Shoku no Shauna, and lastly, Luis from Familiar of Zero. Aria's mother was framed for 864 years worth of false charges, all from members of IU. Aria is trying to prove her mother's innocence, but her mom tells her she needs a Tard Wrangler, and by that I mean partner to bring out her full abilities. Riko orchestrated the first part of the show to get Aria and Kinji together as partners so she could run back Holmes v. Lupin. Everything from the boat jacking that killed Kinji's brother to the bike jacking had went perfectly, except Riko didn't plan for Aria to be so difficult for Kinji to handle. My main issues with Aria are that she wants a partner so she won't be alone, yet she does everything possible to be unbearable to work with. After Aria and Kinji fought off the Segways, Aria forced her way into his dorm, made Kinji buy her dinner, told him to be her slave because she was too proud by Kinji's words to say partner, refused to answer any of the questions he had for her, and forced him out of his dorm so she could take a shower. That was the first night she stayed there, and she refused to leave Kinji's side until he agreed to work with her. You'd think Aria would do anything for her partner to keep them around, but she acts like this and then has the nerve to blame Kinji for her being alone the rest of her life.
But we haven't solved the Butte killer case.
Why are you bringing this up now? Seriously, thanks to you, I've come to realize that I'm gonna have to work alone for the rest of my life. There's not a single person out there worthy of being my partner.
No, I'm sorry, Dark Side Aria. You don't get to shit in the litter box, then blame Jasper. What's interesting is that the other tsundere characters I mentioned earlier have done worse to the male leads than Aria and end up more likable. I mentioned Louise last because she accidentally abducts Saito from modern-day Japan for him to become her medieval servant. I'd say Louise becomes likable from the 6th episode onwards, but those first 5 episodes don't do her many favors. Saito gets into a fight, wins, but ends up in a coma. Louise takes care of him, and even buys him an expensive potion to help him wake up sooner. And when Saito thanks Louise, she tells him there's laundry that he needs to catch up on. What I like about tsundere characters, and what makes them interesting for stories, is when the veil drops, you finally get to see what the character's really like. Aria has one of these moments when she apologizes to Kinji, says she won't call him her slave, and asks him to be her permanent partner. Kinji says no, Aria leaves crying. Even though Kinji hates the public treatment of Butte, he caves and decides to be Aria's partner. And when he does, Aria returns to what she was doing before, making the previous moment feel fake, like a bad kid trying to act good so they can get in on the pizza party at the end of the day. Though one of the worst moments was during the whole Durandal part where the two stopped working together over a misunderstanding of who bought Kinji medicine. Now, I'll preface this by saying that Aria likely played up this argument that tricked the current villain of the arc into making a move on Shiryuki, with Aria and Reki no longer guarding her. After Aria walks in on a half-naked Kinji and Shiryuki, or the average day in Anchorage, Alaska, Aria grabs her guns and starts shooting. Kinji ends up jumping into the cold waters below and getting sick. Then someone who he doesn't see gives him medicine to help him. This person was Aria, but Shiryuki takes credit for it because she's crazy and trying to baby trap Kinji. When Kinji and Aria meet the next day, he says Shiryuki got him the medicine, and Aria gets mad saying that he was going to do something naughty with Shiryuki before she started blasting. It wouldn't take a Holmes, much less a defective one like Aria, to think Shiryuki would get the medicine for Kinji. For starters, in the anime, she drops the medicine while she's staying in his dorm, and Kinji explains where to get it from. Aria overhears this conversation, and in the manga, Kinji tells Aria about the medicine without Shiryuki being present. But from the first episode, Shiryuki is constantly taking care of Kinji by making him food and cleaning his dorm. Regardless of the version, you'd probably think it was Shiryuki who got it for him and not Aria. This then spirals into an argument about the existence of Durandal, the villain of the arc. Aria admits to Kinji that she's called the defective Holmes because she inherited the gut feeling that something is wrong, but not the intelligence to piece it together. She says that Shiryuki is in danger and that nobody believes her, like she provides any proof to back her claims, after getting on Kinji for not providing any evidence that he wasn't trying to do anything wrong with Shiryuki. Ultimately, when Aria is proven correct, Kinji in Genesis 1 verse 28 mode apologizes to Aria like he was in the wrong here. Ultimately, for someone who wants a partner to save their mom, working with Aria seems more like a professional manservant than next-gen Watson. I also get that the point of the story is that Aria slowly becomes more accustomed to working with people, but it seems like she and Kinji are constantly fighting until the situation gets really bad. If we can't hash out our issues over a simple misunderstanding, then I'm not fighting a near mortal werewolf vampire with you. I'm no relationship expert, longest one I was in was half the length of the Confederacy, but even I can tell you if you aren't willing to communicate things with your partner, it would be easier for you to get a cat and not alone. I do like the concept of students going to the school and becoming pseudo-mercenaries. All the students at Butte High are trained in various disciplines. Muto, one of Kinji's friends, specializes in both driving and vehicle knowledge. Reki is the sniper, Riko gathers info, etc, etc. There's also a student who does maintenance on Kinji's weapons, like modding his Beretta to fire a 3-round burst. It would be cool to call up different students to help out with varying cases, because otherwise they randomly pop up in the school and sometimes help out when needed. Also love the camaraderie between the Butte students. During the plane jacking, all the other students jammed the government's signals and did everything they could to help Aria and Kinji land the plane safely without losing a single life. The supernatural stuff gets out of hand later in the story, going from Kinji's bricked for all full diddler mode to Egyptian curses, and even the 3,000-year-old god who looks like a little schoolgirl. I don't hate supernatural stuff in shows, but if you look at this show's tags, you'd never think anything I'm talking about happened in this story. I'd rather they dial back some of the supernatural stuff with the way this show kind of explains itself in the beginning. A story with this concept handled like Classroom of the Elites would have been amazing, or something akin to a drama heist film. The animation, visuals, and OST are good as well. The reason I rewatched this show was that I was trying to find a song that I can only recall the melody of, so I decided to watch a bunch of old shows I remembered to see if it was there while cataloging everything else on my anime list. It wasn't this show. And this is a fine show to watch. Easy 6 out of 10, it's closer to a 5.5, but we round up to make your grade look better on your report card. Won't stop your parents from taking your DS though. Look, I'll keep this brief. Be sure to like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch, updates and schedule changes on Twitter. I also have the story I'm writing on Honeyfeed, but I'll say nothing more on it now. Until then, later fleshbags.